What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Tuesday. Got a nice 15-game slate here tonight. There's a ton of different pitchers you could target on the slate, but I got to narrow down for two, and then four hitters to go along with it. We actually had two of our four hitters yesterday hit a home run. Jordan Alvarez had a really good night, hit a double as well. Had like 27 DraftKings points, so that was really good. Robbie Ray was pretty good. Alec Mills is pitching really well for us as well through four innings, or yeah, around 3 innings. He was really good. 4 innings, not bad. He let up a run, but then in the fifth inning, this absolutely fell apart. And they did kind of a short leash on him. They pulled him with two guys on base, and he could have worked out of it, but they just decided to go with the bullpen. So that kind of sucked. But all in all, it was a pretty good night. So let's see if we can have some more success with the hitters. Again, hopefully I have both pitchers really go off for us. So before we get going, if you could drop a like in the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's try to get over 80 likes again. We had a ton of likes flow in, so you'll love to see it. Let's keep it going. Thank you. Let's hop right into it. I'm going to go with Chris Sale here at 11,000. Last time I went with them, maybe looked stupid against the Dodgers, but the strikeout stuff is still there. Despite him having some bad games here and there, he's still able to rack up some strikeouts. And then he finally was able to limit the home runs against Toronto, had 12 Ks, 39 DraftKings points, showed his kind of upside. And this is kind of a similar matchup, I think, against Tampa Bay team that isn't that great against lefties. They don't really have many right-handed batters that really specialize against lefties, except really like Yandy Diaz, and he might not even play tonight. He got hit by a baseball or something like that yesterday, got hit by a pitch, and he had to get x-rays, and it sounds like he's not going to be able to play. And if that's the case, that's a really good positive for Chris Sale, because he's had the best power numbers against lefties on the season, and that's been really the biggest downfall for Sale this year, is he's been allowing some more home runs. So if that's the case, in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark in Tampa Bay, without one of their best power hitters, Chris Sale had an 18% swing strike rate last time he was out against Toronto. So really good stuff. He was very critical of himself after this Dodgers game. So I think he's going to keep that fire going here. Settle in a really good spot for him in Tampa Bay. I feel like this is the perfect pitching environment for him. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my first pitcher. Then I'm going to go with Chris Archer, the duo of the Chris's here at 7,500. Going against St. Louis, another pitcher that got off to a really bad start, but recently the numbers, like if you look at his FIP and his xFIP over the last month or so, he's just pitching a lot better. So if you can keep that momentum going here against St. Louis, you saw him last time out, had 19 DraftKings points. A little bit unlucky with no run support. Wasn't able to get the win. The last few games, just really not getting the win. That's really been deciding him having a really good start or not, DraftKings-wise. But I think against the St. Louis team, they strike out a lot against righties, a 27.9% K rate against them. So a really good spot for a guy like Chris Archer, who does kind of rely on getting those strikeouts. So far this year, he's around a 27% K rate himself. And I just think that he's pitching better recently. This Cardinals lineup isn't that scary against righties. I think Archer can definitely get the better of him, and they're only implied 4.2 runs. He's favored in the start, so he's probably pretty angry about not having a win in a while. Hasn't won since June 6th, so over a month of time without a win. I think he can get it here tonight, though, against St. Louis. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my second starter. Then I'm going to go with Max Muncy here. Muncy. I always try to overdo his last name. At 4,900, really good spot for him. I want to put him at second base because I do have a first baseman coming up. But he's been really killing it recently. Over the last 10 games, 12.4 fantasy points per game, 5 home runs, batting 289, OPS 1.11. So really good stuff. And he's going against a pitcher here tonight that he's absolutely dominated so far in his career. Really small sample, but 3 for 7 with 3 home runs against Felix Pena. And it kind of makes sense to me because Pena is a guy that does allow a ton of home runs to lefties, and also he can rely on his strikeouts. Muncy isn't an easy guy to strike out. He really kind of keeps pitchers in these longer counts and stuff like that. And Pena is a guy, I feel like you can just get mad about that and just miss one of his locations against them, and then he can go deep against them. So he has a 298 ISO, 389 WOBA against righties, like I said. Had great success against Pena, and he's allowing 2.3 home runs per 9 to lefties. So a really good spot for Max at 4,900. I think this Dodgers lineup has huge upside in the spot with all the lefties they have, and Pena bad against lefties, so it makes a lot of sense. Definitely a team you can stack up. I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there, though, as my first guy. I'm going to go with Jarrod Dyson here. 4,900. Not crazy upside because he isn't that great of a hitter, but he does have the ability, I think, here to get on base a few times, whether it's a walk, a single, and be able to take off and steal it back. So on the year, has 21 stolen bases. Bundy has been pretty easy to steal on over the last 2 years. Let up like 17 stolen bases last year, around 8 stolen bases this year. And Dyson, one of the fastest guys in all of Major League Baseball, so definitely going to be tough for him to keep him on base. And I think he can get up to 5 at-bats here in this game. He wasn't able to do anything yesterday, but that extra at-bat can go a long way. With the leadoff hitter, they're implied 5.2 runs. Baltimore's bullpen is really bad, so even if Bundy was able to do decent and they go to the bullpen, I think they can still tee off on that pen. So 4,900, really good stolen base ability. Just a safer point guy, I would say, here tonight because of his ability to get on base. And Bundy can be a little wild and just could walk him in this spot anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my second guy. I'm going to go with Reese Hoskins here at 4,000. It seems like a solid price tag. I think Boyd is just pitching over his head. The numbers definitely show that he's a good pitcher, but the last few years he wasn't this dominant, and he's still doing the thing that really is his Achilles heel, and that's prone to allowing hard contact and allowing home runs. So I think a guy like Reese Hoskins, really good power against lefties, 47% hard contact rate against them, a 308 ISO, so elite power numbers against them. Cheap price tag of 4,000 for his ability against lefties. Like even his WOBA is like a 450 against the lefties, so really good numbers. And I think he can go deep against Boyd if he can just avoid the strikeouts. Hoskins can be a guy that strikes out here and there, but his strikeout rate is down against the lefties, so seeing the ball really well against them. I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my third hitter. And I'm going to go with a little bit of a, hopefully a kind of under-owned guy. Obviously not a crazy amount of upside here as they're playing in San Fran. Not a great hitter's park, but I go against a guy like Yu Darvish. Even in any ballpark, Yu Darvish can be a guy that just misses his locations and allows home runs. So a 3,800 here for Pablo Sandoval. Solid power this year against righties. Has around a 220 ISO against them. And Yu Darvish, he's been completely worse against lefties even the last few years. This year, though, allowing 2.3 home runs per 9 to lefties. And that's a perfect matchup in favor of San Fran because pretty much like the best of their hitters are like all lefties. Like Yastrzemski hitting really well, Alex Dickerson hitting well, Brandon Belt always solid, Sandoval having a solid year. Even Crawford's been picking up a little bit, so they could get after Darvish in this start. And I think Pablo Sandoval has that kind of upside and around that cleanup spot in the lineup. Get a few RBIs hopefully here and at 3,800. One of the cheaper good values on the slate. There's not many cheap hitters on the slate, honestly. So it was a little bit of a struggle to find a good one. But I think Sandoval does have like one of the best matchups for those cheaper guys on paper. If you just look how bad Darvish has been against lefties and Sandoval hitting for solid power against righties. I think he has like one of the higher ISOs against righties on this Giants team. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my final guy. So not much money left to work with, but I think at catcher you can probably punt there and maybe punt at another position, whether it be an outfield, have a cheaper guy there, and then kind of fill it out from there. But yeah, Chris Sale, Archer, Hoskins, Muncy, Sandoval, and Jarrod Dyson. So I hope you enjoyed it. Slap a like on it if you did. 80 plus likes would be appreciated. And also with that sub button so you don't miss out on any more MLB DFS plays. Good luck here tonight. Hope you guys win a ton of money, and we'll see you back here again next time.